Here, workers are being warned to expect the squeeze on pay to continue into next year. The economic think tank, the Resolution Foundation, forecasts that average wages, after inflation has been taken into account, will continue to fall during the early part of 2018. It suggests the decline will eventually level off before pay levels start to increase towards the end of next year. Well, joining us now is our business reporter, Sebastian Chrispin. Sebastian, just how bad have incomes been hit recently?
Well, I think it's worth pointing out that average earnings, so the amount people get paid, they are going up. So people's average earnings are higher than they were a year earlier. The problem is that the cost of living, inflation, is going up even higher. So yes, people are getting paid more, but those pay rises are being swallowed up because people are having to spend more on exactly the same things that they were paying for previously. What the Resolution Foundation has done today is it's crunched the numbers, and they reckon that on average, weekly pay, we are about £15 a week worse off than we were compared to our peak before the crisis. And what they've done again is they've extrapolated from that, and they look at what would have happened had pay continued at its trajectory before the crisis. And they reckon had it continued at that rate, then families could potentially be earning thousands of pounds more than they are now.
What might have been, but in terms of the prospects for 2018 then?
Well, the Resolution Foundation today is expecting this trend to continue. In fact, what they're saying is 2018 is set to be the worst year than compared to every year for the 3 decades before the crisis, although in fact they do say 2018 will be a bit better than the average year after the crisis. Now, the reason for all this is inflation at the moment is running pretty high. It's at above 3%. What the Resolution Foundation expects is that as we go into the new year, the rate of inflation will start to peter out. But unfortunately for workers, people's average pay will also peter out. So over the course of the year, wages are going to stay pretty flat. Although, as you mentioned briefly at the introduction, towards the very end of 2018, we are going to see a slight increase in how much people earn.
Why is the outlook for the economy so weak?
Well, there are a number of theories floating around. What the Resolution Foundation are really pinning this on are 2 reasons. The first is that since 2012, we've seen a bit of a boom in job creation. The latest employment figures say that the employment rate is about 75%. That's pretty high compared to historic standards. But what they are expecting is that rate of job creation is going to start to decrease next year, or at least start to slow down. The reason this matters is that job creation has been one of the real drivers for pay to go up. And if job creation starts backing off, then the reason for people's pay to go up will also start backing off.
One thing we've heard a lot from employers in recent months is the frustrations and difficulties they face in trying to find employees with the right skills to be able to recruit the people they need. In those circumstances, one would have expected surely pay to actually go up as people can kind of set a premium, if you like, for being recruited. And yet that doesn't seem to be happening.
Well, you're absolutely right. So when employment is as high as it is at the moment, you'd expect employers to be fighting over each other to attract the best workers, and you expect pay to go up accordingly. That hasn't really happened. Now, there's a number of theories around as to why that's happened, but what a lot of economists are saying is this is really down to what's being termed the productivity puzzle. Productivity is the amount that the economy generates per hour or per worker. And for the last decade or so, those productivity figures have been pretty disappointing. The good news here is that the latest productivity figures were a bit better. In fact, we saw the best quarter since 2005. So if productivity continues to increase, then perhaps we'll see pay rises start to grow a bit further. But certainly up to date, productivity has been disappointing.